Sometimes I just got a ping saying, hey Wally, how can I clean up my satellite? How can I proceed with some steps that will clean up all the information, or eventually some of the information like the Postgres, some information about the Pope, and all the information that I can clean up just to speed up the process, just to speed up my satellite server, just to bump the performance. Is there anything that Sys Manager I can do? The answer is yes, and I'm going to show you in this video how to proceed. So let's go to the video. We are here. This is our satellite. But before, I would like to start from our documentation. Feel free to open docs.red.com, click on Explore All Products, click on Red Hat Satellite. From here, you can see server administration and administering Red Hat Satellite. This is a document that will show the information that you are looking for. As always, I recommend to pick this one, single page, and let's search by maintaining satellite server. There you go. This is the chapter that we'll be covering basically all the steps that we will be talking when talking about maintaining and cleaning up your satellite server. And definitely we can call this one manually using Foreman Rake. You can see this call over here, audits column expire, and then days equal number of days. So basically I'm gonna clean up, I'm gonna remove some information from our database, which definitely is gonna help us during this cleaning up process. So if we take a look here, 14.2, this is about deleting audit records automatically. So I don't need to go manually or go on my cron job and add something like this. I can set this configuration via webUI. So basically underneath my administrator settings, general, I can find saved audit interval, and there you go. I can set the number of days that I like for satellite to be doing this cleanup for me. So I don't have to worry about this anymore. Again, if you believe those informations are pertinent to your environment, or if you need to keep them, yeah, just skip this one because you need to retain this information for a while. If we take a look on this anonymizing audit records, basically we still on audit. And let me go to the first one or first page. So here we can see admin and this IP address. Anytime that you proceed with that anonymize, that's gonna remove the information about the user, and we'll remove also the IP address. So we'll not remove everything, but we'll remove those very important information. Eventually, you need this kind of feature or functionality, then there you go. You have this already available for you just to use. Let's move it on. We have report records. And again, see, Foreman Rake is back. I'm gonna provide the more information about Foreman Rake in a few. Just to cover this one, by default, we can see over here, if you just execute Foreman Rake reports expire, this is gonna remove reports older than 90 days. If you like to remove anything newer, then definitely yes, you can pass days equals 7, and then there you go. Let's see more. Configuring the cleaning unused tasks feature. This is already in your satellite, available in your satellite, and your satellite has a cron job that will be doing this for you. Let's say that if you like to change this cron job, the time, the execution, can I go to my cron tab or cron job and change the date manually? Yes, you can. What will happen is next time that you run Satellite Installer, the original configuration will be back with a different time that we're setting. If you like to enforce this date forever, anytime that you run Satellite Installer, that is the new configuration, the standard configuration. Don't forget to use Satellite Installer, -- Foreman plugin tasks, -cron -line, and then pass the cron line that you like to set. This is gonna change the answer file. I have already another video here talking about the answer file. Amazing video. I'm gonna keep in the cards or in the end of this video. But this is gonna keep for good. So anytime that you run Satellite Installer, there you go. This will be your default configuration. If you like to disable this feature, definitely you can. If you like to enable this feature, definitely you can. And keep in mind that by default, this is already enabled. Okay, we have deleting tasks records. So those tasks over here are those ones. So monitor, satellite tasks, tasks. Basically, here it is like the maestro. I like to say this, like your satellite is a big component that will be work with different components. Let's suppose that you go to your satellite webUI, enable repository, then what will happen is a task is going to be created, and then eventually that task will end up on Pulp, which is another component. That Pulp component is going to do all the job, will create the repository, do all the operations. This information is going to be back to satellites. This little guy over here responsible for the tasks will get that information and will send this back to the application, to the web UI. So as you can see, a lot of tasks. Eventually some of them will be like this pending. Eventually some of them will be canceled. Eventually some of them will be success. Like stop it, success. That task was concluded successfully. It's gone, it's okay. And then you can see that we have reports, we have render, we have synced content, subscription expiration. We have a lot of information over here. So can I just go on and clean up all of them? Eventually, yes, you can, but keep in mind that your satellite will rely on some of those tasks. So eventually, if you install a package or errata in your content host via satellite web UI, that task will contain all the information. And if you go to your report templates and generate a report, the report is going to be, or some of them will be using the tasks. If you remove all the tasks, all that information is gone. So just keep in mind this information, okay? Another very, very common question here, like we have content, sync status. And then I would like to see the status of the syncing of my satellite. So let's suppose that I can expand, and then those information like total steps, when was that, how long, all this kind of information. And don't bother because this is syncing complete. I was playing around and I was messing around. This is my lab server. But the main message here is this. We have all this information. And all this information is coming from tasks. So eventually, if I wipe out all the tasks, this will appear as never synced. And then you say, man, all my packets, everything is gone. No, they are not gone. They are here. But we don't have the task anymore, just to provide that kind of information that this page is looking for. Okay? All right, so let's come back. In this case specifically, we are talking about, oh man, look at that, Foreman Rake again. This is so exciting. Don't get your anxiety to get you high right now, because we will definitely be playing and talking about this one in a few. So this one is Foreman Rake. We are doing a Foreman tasks cleanup. So yes, we can play with the tasks. If you take a look on this kind of search that we have here, it is the same kind of search that I can do on this page. Monitor, satellite tasks, tasks. And from here, let me do a query. And state equal stop it. So we can see that we have 188. Let me see if we have anything here different from stop it. We don't. So, okay. Basically, this filter over here, or this query, or this command is gonna clean up all the tasks that we have that are matching with this query and which the state is stopped. If I just run this command on my satellite right now, I would be removing 188 tasks. So less information in my database, and this is going to improve the performance at the end of the day. All right, let's move it on. I can delete a task by ID. So here is using Hammer. In case you'd like to clean up some tasks using the ID, you can. And again, Foreman Rake, Foreman task cleanup, task search, very, very similar to this one. Foreman Rake, Foreman task cleanup, task search, and then the ID of my task. Similar idea. I can get this one over here. I can access my satellite, webUI, ID equal, and then I can filter by ID, okay? Recovering from a full disk, let me do a step back and let me give you an overview about Foreman Rake. Foreman Rake is the way that we can interact with satellite applications. Satellite is a Ruby on Rails application. and Foreman Rake is one way to interact with this kind of application. There is a Foreman Rake console, and I believe most of you already know or heard about console, but we can do one thing here. Let me pass -t in uppercase, pipe less. So Foreman Rake -t basically is gonna bring back all the functions that we have, all the features that we have on Foreman Rake with a description. Let me resize this a little bit. Yeah, this is good. So let's come back to the documentation. Let's get some example. For example, Foreman Rake, Foreman underscore tasks, column cleanup. I can see over here that we have this line. Rake, Foreman tasks, cleanup. This is gonna clean tasks based on filter and age. All right, this is good, but I would like to see more because we can see over here some task search equal blah, blah, blah. So there are some options, some parameters that I can use. Is there any way to see this one a little bit more in detail? The answer is yes. Instead of uppercase T, let's use uppercase D. And let me copy that one again because I'm lazy. I don't want to type. See, now we have the description and we have some additional information. So this is the one in question. So Foreman Rake or Rake, we can see the Rake over here. I will bump the size in a few, but let me just show you. Foreman Rake tasks cleanup, and here I can see some of the options. So task search, and then we can see the example. After how many seconds or minutes or hours I would like to apply this rule. The state, so I can filter by the state. This no op, it's like, okay, let me do a dry run. I will show how much information I should be picking, but I will not do any change. I will not remove anything. Verbose, you can see some additional information. You can bump the verbosity, batch size, and task backup. So as you can see, there are some additional information over here, which is definitely useful when working with Foreman Rake. So let me do this. Let me bump the size here. And then now we can see a bit better all the information that we have. If we scroll up, we are talking about anonymizing or anonymize. So let me go to the top. Let me search. And then there you go. We have audits. And this is part of audits expire. Can be audit expire or can be audit anonymize. Also, let me take another one here. Audit expire, we got, yeah. So basically, if you ask me, hey Wally, is that safe for me to go on Foreman Rake and play around? And no. Be aware of this area or this portion, unless someone like a red hatter that is working your case tells you to do, or eventually if you find in one specific documentation from Red Hat saying, hey, use this command to do this operation, then it is safe to play, it is safe to run that command. Now just access this help or this information and start poking around can be dangerous. Eventually you can wipe out your database, and over here will not be similar to the webUI that will say, hey, are you sure? Would you like to confirm this operation? Would like to do this? No, here you call the command and there you go. That operation will be executed. Again, before doing anything like this, don't forget to create your snapshot or backup. This is very, very important, all right? All right, so let's keep going. Let me bump to the next one. Recovering from a full disk. I have another video here talking about cleaning up your pulp file system, and this is part of the process. So basically, this is going to be executed weekly, automatically by default. Anytime that you remove some repository or delete some stuff, then there you go. This is going to clean up that information. There is a catch though, because Satellite will by default keep your data for 24 hours. So let's suppose that this is going to be executing the next day. You delete a lot of content in the day before, and then you are still in that window of 24 hours. So basically in the next run, next weekend, that task will not be executed and you still with this data in a whole week, unless you execute this command manually. So yes, in the other video, I present and explain all this in details, but for short, this is what will happen. Basically, this is going to recommend you to change your download policy from immediate to on-demand, and then you will move it on. Also, you should be able to extend your file system, varly pulp, assuming that you have like a logical volume. If you don't, basically, you need to stop your satellite, create another file system, and then eventually copy the data, attention with the permission, and that's it. Whenever you get back, there you go. Exactly as we are mentioning over here. And one more point, it is about reclaiming PostgreSQL space. This is the top one on my list. I really enjoyed this one. I'm going to create another video talking about Postgres, how Postgres works and auto vacuum and all the details. But basically what we are doing here is, hey, satellite, stop everything except by the Postgres. So Postgres will be up and running, nothing else. All the services on your satellite server will be down. And then let's call this command. Let's switch to Postgres user. Let's pass -c to call a command. And then there is this vacuum -full -all. This is going to do a vacuum operation full on all the database that you have in your satellite. And this is pretty powerful. This is amazing. If you're old school, as I am, you remember like defrag. Defrag used to be a MS-DOS command just to defrag the disk, like long ago in flop disks. I would like to defrag my disk, or I would like to defrag my hard disk. Yeah, this is old, and I'm getting old. In that time frame, we used to organize and defrag and do all the job, like just to put in sequence and all this kind of stuff. Basically, when talking about Postgres and vacuum, vacuum is going to pass through all your control files, will reorganize all of them, and eventually the space that are not in use, there you go. The Postgres will be able to get rid of all of them. So eventually I see some database like 200 gigs, 300 gigs, just falling down to 20 gigs, 20, 25, 30 gigs. Yeah, and this will also reduce all the index, all the tools, yeah, all the components in your database. Yeah, pretty cool, pretty amazing. And definitely the performance of your satellite will be better because of this. Keep in mind that this can spend some time. So yeah, based on the size of your database, this will not be too fast. We spend some minutes, eventually some hours, but it is something very important and necessary, okay? After that, just restart your satellite and your machine will be back. And over here, we can see reclaim spacing from on-demand repositories. Basically, what will happen is if you have an on-demand repository, satellite is going to download the metadata, will do all the job, but will not download any package, okay? So you have your content host. Content host will hit your satellite, will request that package. Your satellite will say, I don't have this package. Let me go to the CDN, download this package, and we'll deliver this package to the content host. Next time that a different content host requests the same package, that package, it is already available. There is no need to go to the CDN, download the package, okay? Now let's suppose that I have my base OS, RHEL 8 base OS, on demand by default, and then I have one machine. And then in that machine, I just execute DNF updates. And then I got a lot of packets, a lot of new packets downloaded because I updated that specific machine. What will happen is satellite was able to download those packets, and those packets are in the local file system, okay? And this repository is on demand. If you follow this step over here, what will happen is all those artifacts that got downloaded by on-demand repositories, they will go away. And then, again, this will clean up some storage, and this will alleviate your storage specifically for those kind of contents. You can do this by one specific repository. You can do this for multiple repositories, or you can do this for a capsule. And when I mention capsule here, this can be satellite server itself or external capsules, all right? Pretty cool. We are at the end of this chapter. So let's do this. I'm gonna pass through all of them and I will clean up my satellite. And then you can see how this should be. So let me start by this. You can see that I have 6,000-ish audits over here. Let me open in a new tab. 6,143, same as before. So let me do this. I'm gonna clean up all the tasks with 30 days. So expiry is gonna remove all of them. If you don't need them, that's okay. You can go and clean up. But again, audit content, it is amazing for audit purpose. And eventually this is not the best thing that you can clean up or remove, at least not in my opinion. If this is not a big deal for you, then definitely you can. We can see over here, deleting audits older than October 3rd, this specific time, UTC, and then we got deleted 5,924. So if we came by over here, let's refresh this page, 269. So before was 6,000, and now we can see 200, okay? This is the first one. So let me close this one. And again, keep in mind, if this is important for you, you can definitely skip this step. You don't need to remove any audit information, okay? If you like to set this in your satellite webUI, like the interval, via CLI, I set like 30 days. Let's suppose that I would like to set this by default. I can go on my administrator settings. So let's access over there, administrator settings, and over here, save it, audits interval. Save it, audits interval over here. Duration days to preserve audits for. Leave empty to disable the audit cleanup. Again, and I know that I'm getting boring to say this, you don't have to clean up audits. You don't have to. Got it? You don't have to. Audit is important for audit stuff. And if this is important for you, for your company, for your business, don't clean up this information. I'm just showing you how to do that. I can access this one here and set 30, and that's okay. Then Satellite will be cleaning up all the audits after 30 days. But again, my personal opinion, get this empty. Don't clean up any audits, because audit is gonna help you whenever you're looking for some information like, okay, who was responsible for this kind of operation? That operation will be on audit. If you don't have this information anymore, there you go. It will be hard to figure this out, all right? But that's it. Let's go to the next, anonymizing. Remember, I was mentioning about this audit, and then we have some information over here. So let me put this 50 per page, and let me copy this. I'm gonna anonymize. I remove like 30 days. Let me put like 20 days. So basically this is gonna anonymize any information or any task that we have after 20 days. So let's keep this one here. Let's see the task. Okay, we got like anonymized 74 audits, and this was after 13th. So I will keep this one here. Let me open another one on audit. Let me put 50 pages. Let's go to the end. This was before 271, 271, and the date was 13th. So if we take a look here, this is the task, and we can see this was successfully with 74 audits, and this was before 13th. If we take a look on this page, I don't know why some of them on August didn't get cleaned up like this. I didn't expect to see those information over here. But let's see this one, October 3rd, 137. So October 3rd, 1:37. See, this was here before, like the user and the IP address. And in this case, we don't have this anymore. See? So this is the anonymize feature, because anonymize is going to remove some information like the user and IP address. But will this reduce drastically the amount of usage? I don't think so. But if you have this necessity to clean up some information, to wipe out some information from your logs, specifically from audit, there you go. This is the way. And about that behavior, I'm going to do some additional tests and double check just to see if you have a bug or not. Delete report records. Same idea. By default, these will be here. Let me get this one. Copy. Come back to the CLI. Let's run that -d or Foreman Rake -d. And we can see some additional information about this one specifically. Here, let's just search. And there you go. Reports expire reports automatically. I can set the default is 7. I can set the status, config report. So basically this report is this one over here. At this moment, I have no report at all, so nothing to be cleaned up from the database. But assuming that I have some information here, there you go. This is the way to clean up those tasks. Configuring the cleaning unused tasks. So specifically about this one, you can see that we can change this configuration. This is for Foreman tasks. So let me show you over here at the c cron.d. And from here, we can take a look on this Foreman tasks. Then there you go. This is the command line that will be added by this automatic cleanup tasks. False is going to remove that configuration. True is going to enable that configuration. And this is the time that will be executed, minute and hour. So at this moment, you can see we have 45 minutes, 19, 7 p.m. This is the standard. If I go to this file, let's suppose Foreman tasks, and change this to be executed every 7 p.m., for instance, next time that I rerun my satellite installer, this configuration will be back to 1945, because this is the standard value. If you like to keep this persistent, this is the way. You can just call satellite installer, pass in --foreman plugin -tasks -cron-line, and pass the new cron line job that you like to. Specifically about the timing, this is gonna get updated on this one as well. And then here you can see that this is Foreman tasks cleanup, just to call and clean up some tasks, okay? So yeah, if your satellite has this enabled by default, and how to check that? So you can do something like this: satellite installer --help pipeless. So let's take a look here. See, today I'm pretty lazy. Let me search by automatic cleanup. You can see this is the flag, same flag, and this is currently true. So this is already enabled. If I would like to see that line is over here. So Foreman plugin task cron line, or -- Foreman plugin task cron line. See, 45, 19, asterisk, asterisk, asterisk. So this is the current information that we have in the answer file as well. So anytime that I rerun satellite installer, this information will be back. If I like to change this schedule, this is the way. Like it? This is the way. All right, so we don't need to change anything because we have already that information in place. Do I need to clean up my tasks? Eventually you can. So how to do that? Remember that task, it is already doing this for us. So cat Foreman tasks. This is already doing the same thing as we are trying to do here right now. Let me bump this a little bit. See, Foreman Rake, Foreman tasks, cleanup. Foreman rake, Foreman tasks, cleanup. So yeah, would you like to run this manually? You can. Will this remove a lot of tasks? Not at all, because you have this configuration right in place. Then yes, eventually if you like to clean up some specific task, because you can use this filter. And as I mentioned before, let's search this filter over here on our satellites and see. So tasks, this is my query. I have 188 tasks. Okay, this is good because this can give you some clue about the Foreman tasks. So let's do this. Foreman rake -d, you remember -d. I'm gonna pass last -fix, and this is another tip, already a bonus, just to keep the information in the screen whenever you get out from less. Pretty cool. Totally deserves your subscription. Let's pick this one. Let me copy this guy. Let me search by that one. This is the guy in question, okay? So you saw that I clicked Q, then I'm back in prompt, and this information is still here. With that said, let me go back to the webUI. Let me copy this line over here and paste. So I will keep them just for us to be able to understand what's going on. Foreman rake is the call to Foreman rake. Foreman underscore tasks cleanup is this call over here. We are passing task search equal single quotes, single quotes. So basically this is the query that we are doing. And this is the same query as we did here. I just copy and paste. And we know that the answer here is 188 entries. So we have this state equal stopped. If we return, you can see the state over here. I would like to remove only the ones with state equal stopped. I can filter by results and different fields, but let's follow the documentation just to understand and learn a little bit more about this Foreman rake, specifically when cleaning up the tasks. And basically that's it. If you remember, let me show you this, and no up equal true, and we can see set to true if the task should not actually perform the deletion. I would like just to see this one happening. Also, I would like to see the verbose. So let me set this to true. And that's all. Now I'm gonna clean up the screen. Let's see what will happen. Basically, the expected behavior here is Foreman rake, passing through this filter, and also filtering by this state. No op is gonna say this is just a dry run, and verbose is just gonna show us some additional information. See, 180 tasks matching the filter, deleting all tasks matching the filter, and then we have the query over here. Remember we did this before, like the label is this, and state starting by stopped. So at the end of the day, nothing was deleted. And if we return to the satellite, let's just reload this page. And we can see that we still with 188 tasks on satellite because that was just a dry run. Okay, I would like to clean up this one for any reason. Let me remove this no up. I'm gonna keep the verbose and I'm gonna keep the piece on top as well. And there we go. Now you can see 188 from 188, deleted 188 tasks. If there are orphan tasks, then this is gonna be removed as well. And now if we come back, are you ready? Those tasks, they are gone because we just cleaned up all of them. So again, is this something that I have to do often or always? Sometime the Foreman tasks job is gonna be removing some stuff for you. Some additional information you can have already check in your Foreman rake, the default values, what will be deleted by default, this kind of stuff. In my opinion, you don't need to, except if you have some specific case or some specific scenario, then yes. But in general, no needs. So, but this documentation is amazing because we'll tell you how exactly get that information and clean up. Same idea, I can remove this via hammer. I can clean up the task via hammer as well. So this is another way. Recovering from a full disk, and this is already in our satellite server. So same folder. If we take a look on Catelo, we can see this entry over here. So 10 p.m. during the weekend, that's it. Foreman Rake, Catelo, delete orphan contents. This is gonna be executed. If you have many capsules, this is gonna create a task for each one of them. Don't bother, but that's it. This will be executed like weekly. So do I need to run this, Wally? You can. This is gonna clean up. Eventually, if you are doing a maintenance like during the weekdays or something like that, and you like to be sure, definitely you can copy and paste this command, just move it on. This is another thing that I like to do, and basically this is the command. Like this is a watch, and I'm running this every second. Let me remove this real quick. Basically, this is going to tell us the usage of my Varley Pulp Media artifacts. So we can see over here, this is near to 7.3 gigs, something like that. I like to keep this, a watch on this, and run the task or run the command. So basically what will happen is if there is anything to be removed, that's okay. Satellite's going to create a task. That task is going to be worked by Satellite itself. And eventually you should be able to see this one falling down, assuming that you have packets to be removed. All right. Amazing. Let's move it on. Reclaiming Postgres space. As I mentioned before, this can spend some time. So let me go to this one first, which is reclaiming space from on-demand repositories. So again, I have this very well detailed on a different video, but let's see this one here real quick. Content, product, and we can keep this one here. We can see the number 7 and 544. So some ways that I can reclaim the space. I can pick a repository. So let's suppose that I have this one here. See, not synced, not synced. As I mentioned before in this video, sometimes you see things like this. And this is happening because of the task. Assuming that the task got removed, Satellite will not be able to find the information to populate this properly. Don't bother because the information, the packets, they are still in your local file system, but eventually you see something like this. Let me see on sync status if we are facing the same behavior, because I believe this was that sync tasks that we got away. See, look at that. All of them are empty. Nothing, never synced. And we know that this is not true because we know we had this information. We know that we have all the packets, all the information, all the syncs. Is this something that I should be worried? Not at all. Like next day, Satellite's gonna sync again. This information get populated and that's it. Perfect, no problem, all right? Okay, let's come back to our main point, which was reclaiming space. So products, Red Hat Satellite. We can scroll, pick a Red Hat Satellite client. This is a small one. I can click over here on the select action, which is behind my head, and then click on reclaim space. As mentioned before, this is gonna remove any artifact which is related to on-demand. Anything that was downloaded because a client requested this one. And let's take a look on the number at the bottom, 7554. So this is gonna create a task. And eventually, if there is anything on this repository, specifically repository, this is gonna change those number. Yeah, maybe not this one. So this is for the steps for one specific repository. If I would like to do for multiple repositories, I can. And how is that? Products, I can click on the product, select the repository, click over here, select multiple repositories, and then reclaim space. Similar idea. But now, inside of one specific repository, I'm passing through all those repositories. And then, yes, the probability here to get back some storage will be higher because now you're passing through different repositories. Let's say that you have like many repositories, multiple repositories, tons of repositories. I know for sure. Can I do this to my whole system? Definitely you can, which is this one. For capsule, infrastructure capsule, pick the capsule and then reclaim space. So let's wait for this one here to run. Let me show you the way. Let me open a new tab. On the left menu, infrastructure, capsule. You can see that I have satellite and capsule. They are slightly different for each one of them. Let me open in a new tab each one of them, and I'm gonna show you. For satellite itself, you can see a button, reclaim space. This is gonna pass through all the repositories. Third-party, Red Hat repositories, we don't care. This is gonna pass through all of them, okay? If you go to your capsule, this is the capsule. You need to click on synchronize, reclaim space. And again, this is gonna pass through all the repositories that are synced on that specific capsule. And you'll get back some storage regarding to those artifacts that are related to those on-demand repositories. Okay, let me close this one. This is still 544. Let me see. This is still running. And yeah, you can see that sometimes this is gonna pass through, this is gonna spend some time, eventually 5 minutes, 10 minutes, based on the size of repositories, the content that you have. So yes, cleanup is amazing and eventually can cost some time, you know? So let's do one more thing here. Let's see what's going on under the hood, because eventually satellite is working hard. Yeah, we can see the loads. I have 4 vCPUs on this machine and we can see the load is 11 and a lot of POP workers working, doing their best just to do what I asked for. So yes, this task is gonna be running and eventually this number is gonna start falling down because this will clean up some additional stuff. Okay, this is one more step that you can do when doing this cleaning up process. Let me show the next one. The next one should be our database process or database cleanup. So let's do this. Let's wait for this task to finish and I'll get back to you once this is done. And we are back and check this out. So after 17 tasks of 17 finish, we can see 17 success, 0 fail, and look at that. So right now, remember before this was near to 7 gigs, 7 point something. Now we can see 6,000 something, the consumption. Then yes, this is pretty cool. So again, the main point is to clean up information. This is gonna get back some area that you can definitely get. And for sure, this is part of the cleanup process. Okay, let me show you how you could be doing this directly on the server. So let me close this one here. And it should be something like this. Infrastructure, capsule, so satellite, reclaim space. This button over here. This will spend some time, we skip this for now, but again, if you are doing the cleanup in your environment, for sure, go for it. This is definitely a thing that you should be doing. All right, one more step is this one over here. So let me do this. Let's stop everything, excluding Postgres. The folder that I like to see here is this, hs on var lib PostgreSQL data. I'm putting kilobytes. Okay, so we can see 5.8 gigs over here. My database, at least this machine, is not huge, but we can get some idea from here. Yeah, I believe I lost my screen, so you can see that we just run satellite maintain services stop, excluding Postgres, And at the bottom, let me show you the command do-ks on var lib SQL data. And let's keep this for every second. All right, we can see that everything seems to be off. So satellite maintains service list, services status -b of Bravo. Just to confirm all the services, the status of each one of them. See, everything is failing, and this is expected, and we have just PostgreSQL up and running. So once we have this, let's copy the next one and paste. So this will pass through all the tables, and my main point here is this. See, this is kilo mega gig, so 5.8. Eventually you see that will be 886.765.7.6. So as I mentioned before, this is going to act like a defrag because this will be reorganizing all the control files. And eventually, yes, eventually you can see things like this. 805, 806, 7, 8, eventually this is going to fall down. So yeah, see, 801, 87, 5.9. So again, during this process, this can just bump and eventually will fall down because this is the time that this process is organizing everything. But in general, at the end of the process, this will just fall down. And yeah, the performance will be pretty impressive because this will reorganize all the tables, all the database, and the performance is gonna definitely be better. So let's wait for this to finish and then we can compare as before. Before was 5.8. So just to keep in mind, let me take a note. And yes, we can see how this will be at the end of the process. So I'll see you soon. And look at that. Now we can see that this task was concluded, passing through Candlepin, Foreman, Postgres, Popcore, and also this template one. This is not from Satellite, this is from the Postgres, but all the rest over here like Popcore, Foreman, and Candlepin, they are different databases used by Satellite. And if we take a look at the bottom, this is 5 gigs. So before this was 5.8. Again, what this process did was all the organization, all the management with the control files in a way that we get back some additional storage and also a better performance on the database. So if we take a look, let's go to the next step, which is just to start all the services. Postgres, it is already up and running, so no big deal. Okay, it seems that the service is back. Let's do a double check. So I maintain service status -b. This is gonna show a brief visualization so we can see that everything is up and running. Hammer ping. This is also gonna show us some specific and very important components. Okay, all of them are with OK. And at the bottom, see, 5 gigs. So yeah, in general, as I mentioned before, this is not a satellite that was with a huge database, but for different environments, I can see this with a huge difference. So let's just recap this one real quick because it is very, very important. And then we can understand what we should be doing or which one we could skip, if there are any. So audits, keep in mind, if you don't need to remove audit, if you need the audit information just for the sake of audit in your company, skip this one. Feel free to skip this one. And same for this. Anonymizing. If you need something to anonymize information in your database, definitely you can follow this step. If not, no problem, you can move it on. Delete report records. If you have report, and by report you can check over here, then yes, you can clean up some of them. If not, that's okay, you can just move it on. Configuring the cleaning unused task, you can do a double check. So for instance, if you like to see the cron job You can run satellite installer --help pipeless. And from here, basically you can search by those flags. So for instance, is my satellite syncing or doing this task in this specific time frame? I'm confident that not, because that is not a standard. It is just showing you if you like to change. So this is the standard one. I would like to confirm if this is enabled. So let me go to the top, filter, and then I can see this is true. So yes, I know for sure that my satellite has this already set up properly, which is okay. Deleting, as I mentioned before, satellite will be deleting those tasks. Definitely you could be running this manually, but keep in mind that satellite is already doing this for you. And this is in case you would like to delete some specific task. Eventually you need, but not in general, okay? Then we can see over here, you can definitely skip this one if this is not the problem or a specific problem. Recovery for a full disk. Yes, you can run this anytime that you are doing your management or your cleanup process. Definitely you can run this manually. To reclaim your Postgres space, for sure, you were able to see over here that we bumped it from 5.8 to 4.8. So yes, definitely this is a good one. And reclaiming space from on-demand repositories. If you ask me, hey, what is your advice? Like, should I do this for one specific product or for a set of repositories? My advice will always be this. Keep in mind, infrastructure, capsules, click on your satellite, reclaim space. This is going to create a task, wait for that task to finish. Something like this, reclaim space. This is going to be over here. You can see a task got created, satellite task, tasks, and then you can click on running. So let's take a look. Reclaim space. This is the task. And this, for sure, can spend a lot of time because we'll be running through or passing through all the repositories that you have. This is my advice. Okay, but I also do have capsules and I would like to do the similar cleanup on my capsules. Infrastructure, capsules, click on the capsule, click on synchronize drop-down menu. That option is going to appear here, reclaim space. And that's it. Another task is going to be created for your capsule, and that's all you need to do. Okay, wait for that task to finish. If we come back to tasks, before was 15, now we have 16. We have two tasks over here. This is the one for satellite. This is the one for the capsule. So yeah, pretty much this is going to do all the hard work on your satellite server and on the capsules. This is my advice. And basically that's all. So at the end of the day, what will happen is your satellite will be much better, will be performing better, the usage in your file system will be less for the Postgres and also for the pulp contents. And basically that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video. This is a very common question that I get at least weekly. You know, like how can I proceed to do this cleaning up process just to put my satellite in a better shape? So yes, feel free to follow those steps. Feel free to follow those documentations. Definitely they will help you to improve. Again, don't forget to create a backup or a snapshot of your server. Sometimes I get customers say, man, now I'm in trouble because I removed those tasks and I'm not able to generate this report or that report. In this kind of situation, then yes, you should be able to use that filter, just remove some subsets of tasks and not all of them, okay? Don't forget to subscribe in our channel. Also, feel free to join us in our Discord channel and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Bye.